Well, I hope it was worth it for you to get that from the back. And now we're continuing with our reading of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're in the Madhya Lila for those of you who have just joined us online or here at the live studios at Bhaktivedanta Ashram. We're on text number 99 of the third chapter, Lord Chaitanya at the house of Advaita Acharya. Nityananda Prabhu replied, "These are the remnants of food left by Lord Krishna. If you take them to be ordinary remnants, you have committed an offense." In the Brihad Vishnu Purana, where? Brihad Vishnu Purana. It is stated that one who considers Mahaprasadam to be equal to ordinary rice and dal certainly commits a great offense. Ordinary edibles are touchable and untouchable, but there are no such dualistic considerations where prasadam is concerned. Prasadam is transcendental and there are no transformations or contaminations, just as there are no contaminations or transformations in the body of Lord Vishnu himself. Thus, even if one is a Brahmana, he is certain to be attacked by leprosy and bereft of all family members if he makes such dualistic considerations. Such an offender goes to hell, never to return. This is the injunction of the Brihad Vishnu Purana. Srila Nityananda Prabhu continued, "If you invite at least 100 sannyasis to your home and feed them sumptuously, your offense will be nullified." Advaita Acharya replied, "I shall never again invite another sannyasi, for it is a sannyasi who has spoiled all my Brahminical smriti regulations." After this, Advaita Acharya made the lords wash their hands and mouths, and then took them to a nice bed and made them lie down to take rest. Sri Advaita Acharya fed the two lords cloves and cardamom mixed with tulsi flowers. Thus there was a good flavor within their mouths. Sri Advaita Acharya then smeared the bodies of the lords with sandalwood pulp and then placed very fragrant flower garlands on their chests. When the Lord lay down on the bed, Advaita Acharya waited to massage his legs, but the Lord was very hesitant and spoke as follows to Advaita Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Advaita Acharya, you have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice. Go with Mukunda and Haridas and accept your lunch." Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here telling Advaita Acharya that it is not befitting for a sannyasi to accept nice beds to lie on or to chew cloves and cardamom and have his body smeared with sandalwood pulp. Nor is it befitting for him to accept fragrant garlands and have his legs massaged by a pure Vaishnava. "You have already made me dance according to your vow," Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. "Now please stop it. You can go and take your lunch with Mukunda and Haridas." Thereupon Advaita Acharya took prasadam with Mukunda and Haridas, and they all wholeheartedly ate as much as they desired. When the people of Shantipur heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they all immediately came to see his lotus feet. Being very pleased, all the people loudly began to chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare, Hare. Indeed, they became struck with wonder upon seeing the beauty of the Lord. They saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very fair complexioned body and its bright luster, which conquered the brilliance of the sun. Over and above this was the beauty of the saffron garments that glittered upon his body. People came and went with great happiness. There was no calculating how many people assembled there before the day was over. As soon as it was evening, Advaita Acharya began the congregational chanting. He even began to dance himself, and the Lord saw the performance. When Advaita Acharya began to dance, Nityananda Prabhu began dancing behind him. Haridas Thakur, being very pleased, also began dancing behind him. Advaita Acharya said, "My dear friends, what shall I say? Today I have received the highest transcendental pleasure. After many, many days, Lord Krishna is in my house." Purport: This is a song composed by Vidyapati. Sometimes the word Madhava is misunderstood to refer to Madhavendra Puri. Advaita Acharya was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and consequently some people think that he was referring to Madhavendra Puri by using the word Madhava. But actually, this is not the fact. This song was composed to commemorate the separation of Krishna from Radharani during Krishna's absence in Mathura. It is thought that this song was sung by Srimati Radharani when Krishna returned. It is technically called Mathura Viraha. Mathura Viraha. Advaita Acharya led the Sankirtan party, and with great pleasure he sang this verse. The verse Ki Kahiba Re Saki Ajuka Ananda Ora Chira Dine Madhava Mandira Mora. My dear friends, what shall I say? Today I have received the highest transcendental pleasure. After many days, Lord Krishna is in my house. Can you make a note of that verse? Are you making notes of verses? Yeah, it's verse 114 of the 3rd chapter. Now we have to sing that. Don't we? Okay, Mahendra and I will sing it. Advaita Acharya led the Sankirtan party, and with great pleasure he sang this verse. There was a manifestation of ecstatic perspiration, shivering, raised hairs, tears in the eyes, and sometimes thundering and bellowing. They chanted that verse. While dancing, Advaita Acharya would sometimes turn around and catch the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya would then speak to him as follows. Sri Advaita Acharya would say, "Many days you escaped me by bluffing. Now I have you in my home. I will keep you bound up." So speaking, Advaita Acharya performed congregational chanting with great pleasure for 3 hours that night and danced all the time. When Advaita Acharya danced in that way, Lord Chaitanya felt ecstatic love for Krishna, and because of his separation, the waves and flames of love increased. Being agitated by the ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly fell to the ground. Seeing this, Advaita Acharya stopped dancing. When Mukunda saw the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood the feelings of the Lord and began to sing many stanzas, augmenting the force of the Lord's ecstasy. Advaita Acharya raised the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him dance, but the Lord, after hearing the stanzas sung by Mukunda, could not be held due to his bodily symptoms. Tears fell from his eyes, and his whole body trembled. His bodily hairs stood on end. He perspired heavily, and his words faltered. Sometimes he stood, and sometimes he fell, and sometimes he cried. Mukunda sang, "My dear intimate friend, what has not happened to me? Due to the effects of the poison of love for Krishna, my body and mind have been severely afflicted." When Mukunda saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling ecstatic pain and manifesting ecstatic bodily symptoms, all due to feelings of separation from Krishna, he sang songs about meeting with Krishna. Advaita Acharya also stopped dancing. "My feeling is like this. My mind burns day and night, and I can get no rest. If there were some place I could go to meet Krishna, I would immediately fly there." This stanza was sung by Mukunda in a very sweet voice. But as soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this stanza, his mind went to pieces. The transcendental ecstatic symptoms of disappointment, moroseness, pleasure, restlessness, pride, and humility all began to fight like soldiers within the Lord. Purport. Harsha is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Harsha is experienced when one finally attains the desired goal of life and consequently becomes glad. When harsha is present, the body shivers and one's bodily hairs stand on end. There are perspiration, tears, and an outburst of passion and madness. The mouth becomes swollen and one experiences inertia and illusion. When a person attains his desired object and feels very fortunate, the luster of his body increases. Because of his own qualities and feelings of greatness, he does not care for anyone else, and this is called garva or pride. In this condition, One utters prayers and does not reply to others' inquiries. Looking at one's own body, concealing one's desires, and not heeding the words of others are symptoms visible in the ecstasy of garva. The entire body of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to totter due to the onslaught of various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell to the ground and his breathing almost stopped. Upon seeing the condition of the Lord, all the devotees became very anxious. Then, suddenly, the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds. Upon standing up, the Lord said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." Thus he began to dance, overwhelmed with pleasure. No one could understand the strong waves of this ecstasy. Lord Nityananda began to walk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see that he would not fall, and Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur followed them, dancing. In this way, the Lord danced for at least 3 hours. Sometimes the symptoms of ecstasy were visible, including pleasure, moroseness, and many other ways of ecstatic emotional love. The Lord had been fasting for 3 days, and after that period, he took eatables sumptuously. Thus, when he danced and jumped high, he became a little fatigued. Having been absorbed in love of Godhead, he would not understand his fatigue, but Nityananda Prabhu, catching him, stopped his dancing. Although the Lord was fatigued, Nityananda Prabhu kept him steady by holding him. At that time, Advaita Acharya suspended the chanting, and by rendering various services to the Lord, made him lie down to take rest. For 10 continuous days, Advaita Acharya held feasting and chanting in the evening. He served the Lord in this way without any change. In the morning, Chandrasekhar seated Shachimata in a palanquin and brought her from her house with many devotees. In this way, all the people of the town of Nadia, including all women, boys, and old men, came there. Thus the crowd increased. In the morning, after regular duties were completed and the Lord was chanting the Hare Kṛṣṇa Maha Mantra, the people accompanied Shachimata to the house of Advaita Acharya. As soon as Mother Shachi appeared on the scene, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell before her like a stick. Mother Shachi began to cry, taking the Lord on her lap. Upon seeing each other, they both became overwhelmed. Seeing the Lord's head without hair, Mother Shachi became greatly agitated. Out of love, she began to caress the body of the Lord. Sometimes she kissed his face and tried to observe him carefully, but because her eyes were filled with tears, she could not see. Understanding that Lord Chaitanya had accepted the renounced order of life, Shachimata, crying, said to the Lord, "My darling Nimai, do not be cruel like Vishvarup." He went back to his spiritual master, Srila Ishvara Puri, and said, "Have you given me the right mantra? Because whenever I chant this mantra, then I experience these symptoms." And then Srila Ishvara Puri was very pleased. He became pleased by hearing this. And he offered this verse to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Evam vrata swapriya namakirta jatanarago druta chitta uchaya hasatyato rautiti rauti gayati unmadavam nrityati lokabayaha." The translation of which is, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one comes to the stage of love of God. Then one gradually becomes attached to a particular name and form of the Lord. And one then sometimes shouts, laughs and cries, and sometimes sings and dances without any concern for outsiders. And there's a purport to that verse in which our acharyas, many of whom have commented on it, say that some devotees exhibit external symptoms, whereas others don't. Prabhupada hardly ever showed external symptoms, although sometimes he did, but very rarely. He contained himself quite a bit. And there were times, even you can hear when he's giving a talk, when his voice will crack, but those are rare. And the times when he apparently went into trance, one was in 1975 in Mayapur when we were just starting the class. Prabhupada was giving class on Caitanya Charitamrita every morning because it was just coming out. He was working on it constantly. And he started by chanting Jai Radha Madhava, and he got halfway through the song and then he froze. And then nobody knew what to do. It was just total silence in the temple room. And then Hansaduta, he started singing. And then Prabhupada came out of that state. But these things were extremely rare. It wasn't like these descriptions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu where they had to hold him up because he was crashing to the ground and things like that. So in the commentary, one, first of all, said some devotees, they show symptoms, others don't. And Madhvacharya says that advanced devotees all show two symptoms, regardless of whether you see them cry or roll on the ground. And those two symptoms, he said, he says, are the only way by which you can actually verify that somebody's advanced in devotional service. Would you like to hear what they are? Yes. Sorry, we're out of time. He said one is steadiness in service. This is a kind of ecstasy, prolonged exhibition of ecstasy. If somebody goes on serving, what can you say? Because you can't fake steadiness. If you have some taste and you're feeling ecstatic, then you can go on for more than a minute, or more than a year, or more than 5 years or 10 years. Sometimes devotees can go for 5 years and they say, the heck with it. Try again next life. So steadiness is one. And the other, he said, is you can tell by what's called their mukhya prasad, what comes out of their mouth, meaning their speech. You can judge the merciful speech of those who are advanced. So they speak for the benefit of others to advance in Krishna consciousness. So that was a verdict from the Acharyas in that purport, that some show ecstatic symptoms, others don't. So it's not something that we aspire for. In fact, the idea of aspiring for ecstatic symptoms is casual, even if we have a hard heart. Either way, it's not genuine. But gradually, when one advances in devotional service, those symptoms will manifest one way or the other. So we're not asked to aspire for them, but we should know what they are. That's why Rupa Goswami went to so much trouble to catalog everything about the emotions of the devotees in relationship to Krishna in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. Did it answer your question, or do you have more nuance to it?
No, you answered the question really nicely, and I thank you. My thoughts were, unless I have these kind of symptoms, does that then mean I'm not really making any advancement?
Do you have the symptoms of steadiness?
I try every day. Yeah,
well, if someone were to observe your life right now and notice that you're hanging out at Govardhan Hill, listening to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita for 5 hours a day, and compare that to most of the world's population, they might consider that you're an elite
I understand what you're
You're
saying.
in an elite category.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else since it's dark? Oh, okay. Madhva's going to weigh in finally. We're waiting for you.
I had in text 114 in the purport where this song was composed to commemorate the separation of Krishna from Radharani during Krishna's absence in Mathura. It is thought that the song was sung by Srimati Radharani when Krishna returned, like when he returned to Vrindavan.
Well, after he killed Dantavakra, then he returned to Vrindavan. He was the last of the demons, Dantavakra. And then he went into Vrindavan, because Dantavakra was just outside the gates of Mathura when he was causing a commotion. Krishna went there from Dwarka by the speed of the mind to slay that demon. And since he was right there, he just went back into Vrindavan. So it doesn't give context, but if we looked into it a little more, that's the time when he did go back to Vrindavan. But that didn't answer your question, right? You want to ask it again?
No, I didn't know. I thought Krishna didn't go back to Vrindavan after.
He does.
I have one from the online audience.
Okay.
This is from Anapayani Radha Devidasi.
We're missing you. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
She says, I have not been hearing or reading Caitanya Charitamrita for several months. Now, hearing it again, the words of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, quote, hardest things are easy when one remembers Mahaprabhu, and even the easiest things become very difficult when one does not, unquote, struck me on another level. Hearing the nourishment of Mahaprabhu's pastimes for over 2 hours from your saintly assembly in Govardhan brings an unexplainable, magical ease to my heart, feeling deeply grateful for this gift.
No, those are ecstatic symptoms. It is. I mean, that's a taste. Who says stuff like that? If you like Krishna consciousness, you're in some kind of ecstasy. Like that's the main thing you like. So, Prabhu, you had a point.
Yeah. It's interesting that when Rupa Goswami lists the 9 symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, Shantir Avyakta Kalatvam Viraktir Mana Shunyata Asha Bandha Samutkanta Namagane Sada Ruci Asaktistat Gunakyane Pritistat Vasatistale. When he lists those 9 symptoms, Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura comments that these are objectively verifiable symptoms. Whereas somebody could, fake the Ashta Sattvika Vikar, like dancing, fainting, and these things can also be imitated. But these 9 symptoms, they cannot be imitated. So
yeah,
that gives an objective parameter to see whether someone is advanced. Or
yeah, the symptoms of bhava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come to this. He lists them in his teachings to Sanatana Goswami. And also another case, since we're talking about devotional ecstasy for 500, we'll say that Nārada Muni, when he was a child, before he was Nārada Muni, he had been favored by Vaishnavas who came to his house during Chaturmasya, but then they stayed after Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya was over, but they stayed for a second season because of the precociousness of the child. They noted that he was extraordinary. And he was serving them and took the remnants of their food once by their permission. Then they'll say he just left, and then his mother, he was in a single parent home. His mother died. And then he felt sufficiently buoyed by the association of these sages that he left home fearlessly and was wandering the world, observing the energies of the Lord and seeing Krishna everywhere. Well, seeing within the world how Krishna's energies were working. That's what's explained. But then he goes to a forest, and there he sits down and he's meditating and he has a spurti, or a direct experience of Krishna. And then it's explained how every one of his senses was independently enlivened in ecstasy. And after that brief encounter, he came back into the bodily context again and lost that feeling that he had, that ecstasy. And then he mechanically tried to get back to that state he had just experienced. And then Krishna spoke to him there in that lonely forest in an unembodied voice. And he said that, "You're not there yet, kid." He called him a ku yogi, which means a bad yogi. And advised him that now you've come this far and you've had this experience, you know what it is. So you be patient throughout this lifetime. So he was patient throughout the lifetime, although he had that, so it might be called a free sample from Krishna. So we may not get, we may have, well, first of all, it's mentioned that in the progression of devotional service, which we heard about earlier also, maybe somebody, it was in the class this morning in the purport, but ādau, śraddhā, tato, sādhu-saṅga, bhajana-kriyā, tato, anartha-nivṛttiḥ, syāt, tato, niṣṭhā, ruciḥ, etc. This is the progression from śraddhā to prema. And Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura notes that this is a anukrama, one step after another. However, sometimes they're anachronistic. Someone may have an experience beyond their adhikāra. And that can be taken in the way Nārada Muni had received some impetus. This is what it feels like. And yet another commentary from the Sixth Canto of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura, talks about the chanting of the holy name specifically. And he says that devotees who chant Hare Kṛṣṇa may experience the fruit of that at different times for different reasons. He says a tree, when planted, takes as long as it takes to produce a fruit. You can't hurry it up. It has to grow from a sapling and then put its roots down. Some trees, like almonds, they take 7 years before you actually get any fruit from the tree. And he said that sometimes Krishna withholds the ecstasy of the holy name until the devotee is leaving the world. And that's also there in light of the Bhagavad, where Prabhupada, commenting on the sages staying back for Chaturmasya, they stay in one room, generally in one place, don't go out anywhere, they just hear and chant for those 4 months. And then he says, does Prabhupada in his commentary, that they don't realize the result of their austerity till they leave the room. In other words, when you're there, you just think like, yeah, this is what we're doing. But when they leave, they go, oh my God, what did I do? And he says, then Prabhupada says, we're in a Chaturmasya-like existence. He said we get this body and we have an ayu, we have a span of life for so long, and it's kind of like a Chaturmasya. We have this little opportunity in the short human life to perform the austerities, and we may not even realize the full effects of that cultivation until we leave the body. It's parallel to what Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura says about chanting the holy name of the Lord. And when it fructifies, it's very individual and unique. It's not mechanical. It has to do with the individual and the relationship with Krishna and many other factors. One of which is almost so enigmatic that it's hard to even say, but in the Sixth Canto, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, same commentary by Viśvanātha, when he talks about the fruition of the chanting of the holy names, he mentions that sometimes Krishna withholds from Vaishnavas the full manifestation of ecstasy because he doesn't want to discourage the Gyanis and the Karmis. Because if every devotee who chanted Hare Kṛṣṇa immediately got the result, then everybody else would be bummed out. And this is not, this is Krishna's objective, is samoham sarvabhuteshu. If somebody wants to follow the path of jnana or karma, he doesn't dissuade them, he gives them their full opportunity, and that means that he can't tilt the scale so much that they become discouraged from taking their path. I told you it was a little enigmatic.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
All I can say about that light there is hiranmayena patrena. Yes, please go ahead.
May I ask a question? So regarding prasadam, in text 99 we read in the joking pastime.
We can't hear. Sorry, can you say it again? There's whispering going on and I can't hear what you're saying.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. So in text 99 we read that in the purport that one who considers Mahaprasadam to be equal to ordinary rice and dal commits a great offense. I was wondering that if someone accepts prasadam without knowing that it's prasad, say if we're handing out prasadam to the public, does the potency differ versus when a devotee is eating Mahaprasad knowing that it's the power of prasad?
Well, in the Bhagavad Gita, at the end of the 17th chapter, Krishna says, any sacrifice which is done without faith, it doesn't have an effect. On the other hand, there are quite a few statements about agyata sukriti. And so the two things can be balanced together. They don't have to be diametrically opposed. Because there are a lot of other factors when people receive prasadam, they're likely to be, it's in a context oftentimes where devotees are giving it out, and they'll see the devotees, they'll hear the chanting and the tilak and things like that. I mean, on one side, there are stories in the Puranas about a Brahmana who just taken Mahaprasadam and they got devoured by a tiger, and then the tiger got liberation. So that's one side. And the other side is that there's, if people don't know what they're doing, and if they don't have faith in it, then the result may not be, then there's some effect. There's a deposit in their bank account. And on the other side, if somebody does something with full knowledge or fuller knowledge than not having any at all, then the effect is more. What do you think?
Thank you, Maharaj. I have one more question. That if we're handing out cookies on Sankirtan, what would you tell the person to make them understand that this is special?
Depends where you are. If you're in California, you have to tell them it's vegan, no sugar. Well, I heard devotees saying different things. It was cooked by monks. We made it in the temple. It kind of depends on the person and the place. And whenever I give prasadam I don't always tell people what it is. I generally give out lollipops when we're traveling and things. And also experience with garlands. They have this, oftentimes when we go for a trip, people give us a garland. And so we have a rule. The first person who asks for it gets it. Or the first person who notices it and says something, they get the garland. So just when we were leaving San Francisco, Apar Garongi and Shiyanta gave us really nice garlands. So we were walking through the airport, and then, sure enough, just at the check-in counter, the guy goes, "Whoa, what a nice lei," because they think it's from Hawaii or something. And so I gave it to him, and we took a picture with him, and I gave him Nirkula's garland, and then we went a little further, and somebody else did it. Got a picture of them. It's hard to say. Oh, what do we say to people? I didn't say anything. I just said, "This is for you." But I remember devotees giving out prasadam at concerts, and they had a little imprint of Govinda on the side. And that was one of those things where you see the devotees and they identify with the prasadam.
May I say something?
Yes, please.
We often talk about prasadam as our secret weapon. And what comes to mind is, in one way, there are, when someone joins the movement, sometimes their families are inimical. And most times, even if they're not inimical, you really can't preach to family. But we always talk about the prasadam as a secret weapon. And if that's all you do is act in a Vaishnava way and give prasadam, you 95 to 100% of the time see changes in their ability to understand Krishna consciousness on some level.
Yeah, definitely happened in our case. Anybody else? Yes, Mahendra Prabhu.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. I just remember when you mentioned the Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura's commentary in the Sixth Canto, he does say something similar in, I believe, Madhura Kadambini or Bhagavatam Chandrika, that the general rule is if you have chanted for a long time and do not experience, the heart is not melting, you do not experience any ecstatic symptoms, there must be offense, because the fruit is the result of how you actually do it, the practice. And that Bhagavatam verse of the second canto, the heart is still firm, so that's why it's worried. But then he says that's not always the case. And also Krishna delays that particular result until the end. So he mentions it for different reasons.
Right, so we should also be circumspect and see, am I making offense or am I chanting with attention and so forth. I can't see if anybody else is raising their hand. Yes.
Another point that Sachi here is really she has motives. If he goes, she also said, how will I be able to live? That's also when he heard Mahaprabhu told him before he took sannyas, I'm taking sannyas, and he went and sat alone and started crying. Why? Because he was thinking, how will Mahaprabhu live? So this choice is very, very difficult. She made the choice which is in favor of him. That's how that will be painful, more painful that he's criticized. So I thought, would you also comment on that? Can we make parallel with the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra and standing or Sita leaving and going to the Valmiki's ashram, because Bhagavatam says that the Lord, hearing this criticism, he feared that more people will say such nonsense who have no knowledge, and therefore she went there. And it seems quite cruel from one side. How can he not protect her in that hearing how she is criticized? What would you say?
I tell you, it's a brilliant comparison, and a point very well taken. Thank you, Mahendra Prabhu. What's the? Oh no. Okay, give him the mic. He'll say it again. Go ahead. Just make the point again, and we'll trade in this microphone. Let's see if they can hear you now.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Well, I said first that a similar point by Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura is made in Madhura Kadambini, if I believe it was there, or in Raghavartma Chandrika, that a devotee may think that because the general rule is if somebody is chanting for a long time but do not experience the melting of the heart and ecstatic symptoms may know that there should be some offenses, but he said that is not necessarily the case, because Krishna sometimes on purpose delays till the end, basically by leaving the body. So that's another place where he explains this. And Vaisheshika Prabhu said, but we still have to look if we do chant attentively or make other offenses. But if we're not, obviously we shouldn't feel guilty or something that there's something wrong. It's up to Krishna, and it's not the goal of the devotee. And the other was a reflection, and wanted a comment from Vaisheshika Prabhu about the dilemma devotees sometimes have of making a choice between stay, but then she has to suffer from the criticism he may have because he's, as a sannyasi, staying near relatives. And I remember the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Ramachandra, when he heard this criticism about himself, that he was, this is also going. Hare Kṛṣṇa. He is that he has not an ideal character. So that parallel of different choice, and usually these choose that which is even more painful, but it's protecting the beloved Lord.
Could you hear that? Sometimes devotees pick the more painful choice of the two, but they take that choice that is favors Krishna rather than themselves. Ta-da! Okay. Wait, do we have want to try this mic? Hare Kṛṣṇa.
This is from the morning session, something that touched my heart and was a lesson maybe I can carry with.
Since Jagannath Puri and Navadvip are intimately related, as if they were two rooms in the same house, people from Navadvip generally go to Jagannath Puri, and those in Jagannath Puri go to Navadvip. This going and coming will help carry news of Lord Chaitanya. In this way, I will be able to get news of him. All you devotees will be able to come and go, and sometimes he may also come to take his bath in the Ganges. I do not care for my personal happiness or unhappiness, but only for his happiness. Indeed, I accept his happiness as my happiness. After hearing Shachi Mata, all the devotees offered her prayers and assured her that her order, like a Vedic injunction, could not be violated. All the devotees informed Lord Chaitanya of Shachi Mata's decision. Hearing it, the Lord became very pleased. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered respects to all the devotees present from Navadvip and other towns, speaking to them as follows. My dear friends, you are my intimate friends. Now I am begging a favor from you. Please give it to me. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested them all to return home and begin chanting the holy name congregationally. He also requested them to worship Krishna, chant his holy name, and discuss his holy pastimes. Purport: the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Hare Kṛṣṇa movement, is very nicely explained by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu authoritatively. It is not that everyone has to take sannyas, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everyone can execute the cult of Krishna consciousness at home, as ordered by the Lord. Everyone can congregationally chant the holy name of Krishna, the Hare Kṛṣṇa Maha Mantra. One can also discuss the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and install deities of Radha Krishna or Gaura or both and worship them very carefully in one's home. It is not that we have to open different centers all over the world. Whoever cares for the Krishna consciousness movement can install deities at home and under superior guidance worship the deities regularly, chanting the Maha Mantra and discussing the Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We are actually teaching in our classes how to go about this. One who feels that he is not yet ready to live in a temple or undergo strict regulative principles in the temple, especially householders who live with a wife and children, can start a center at home by installing the deity, worshipping the Lord morning and evening, chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, and discussing the Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Anyone can do this at home without difficulty. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the devotees present there to do so. After thus instructing the devotees, the Lord asked their permission to go to Jagannath Puri. He assured them that at intervals he would come there and meet them again and again. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offering due respects to all the devotees and smiling very mildly, bade them farewell. After requesting the devotees to return home, the Lord decided to go to Jagannath Puri. At that time, Haridas Thakur began to cry and speak some pathetic words. Haridas Thakur said, "You are going to Jagannath Puri, and that is all right, but what will be my destination? I'm not able to go to Jagannath Puri." Although Srila Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family, he was accepted as a properly initiated Brahmana. As such, he had every right to enter the temple of Jagannath Puri, but because there were some rules and regulations stipulating that only Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, members of the Varnashram Dharma system, could enter, Haridas Thakur, out of his great humility, did not want to violate these existing rules. He therefore said that he did not have the strength to enter into the temple, and he pointed out that if Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived within the temple, there would be no way for Haridas Thakur to see him. Later, when Haridas Thakur went to Jagannath Puri, he lived outside the temple at a place called Siddhapakul. A monastery has now been erected there, known as Siddhapakul Mat. People who visit Jagannath Puri often go to see Siddhapakul and the tomb of Haridas Thakur on the beach by the sea. "Because I am the lowest among men, I shall not be able to see you. How shall I maintain my sinful life?" The Lord replied to Haridas Thakur, "Please check your humility. Just seeing your humility very much agitates my mind." Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assured Haridas Thakur that he would place a petition before Lord Jagannath and that he would certainly take him there to Jagannath Puri. After that, Advaita Acharya respectfully requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show him mercy by remaining another 2 or 4 days. And that brings us to the end of today's reading of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in the section of the Madhya Lila. And we're ending at text number 199. 198? This is a dilemma. We got 1 minute left. Text 199 we ended on. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never violated the request of Advaita Acharya. Therefore he remained at his home and did not leave immediately for Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya's decision was received very happily by Advaita Acharya, Mother Sachi, and all the devotees. Advaita Acharya celebrated every day with a great festival. During the day, the devotees discussed subject matters concerning Krishna, and at night there was a great festival of congregational chanting at the house of Advaita Acharya. Mother Sachi cooked with great pleasure, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with the devotees, accepted the prasadam with great pleasure. In this way, all the opulences of Advaita Acharya, his faith, devotion, home, riches, and everything else were successfully utilized in the worship of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that really does bring us to the end of today's reading. Despite Patita Pavana's enthusiasm, we keep going to the end. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Gauranitai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram, Shri Shri Radhe Shyam. If you so desire, please help us to always remember Lord Chaitanya, because by remembering Lord Chaitanya, difficult things become easy, and by forgetting him, easy things become difficult. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please say Hare Kṛṣṇa. Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Vanchakoptarishta Kripasinabheva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gaur Premanande. We have a parting gift for everybody tonight. So we did 200 pages today? We did 203 pages today. That's good. We're still at a deficit though. Oh my God. We have Prasadam from New Govardhan in Australia, and it's really beautiful. Do you have enough for everybody? It's for me to give big pieces? Okay, hold on. Hare Kṛṣṇa